Turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
I did it again, everybody. I said hello and welcome, and I didn't have the microphone button on. This is not my first day, I promise. I have been here for a little bit. My name is Matt Skraby. This is a Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks to everyone for all the nice things you always say about the Skraby Show. We do tonight have another pair of tickets to give away for Skrabinator Night, which is next Wednesday, April 10th, I believe. And it's against the Cubs, and it's a 3:40 p.m. start. And a Skrabinator Night means I am going to invite you into the 97.3 The Fan SD Suite to watch the game. So if you would like to win tickets for that, you can. You just got to listen to the show, and I'll let you know. I'm going to ask a question about the show, the Skraby Show. And basically, I just want to make sure, I want everybody to come. But I want to make sure that the OG Skrabinators are able to have a chance as well. So keep your ears to the radio or to YouTube. If you want to do that, you can watch me as well. Search 97.3 The Fan on YouTube. And we will be getting to that at some point throughout the show. Listen to Sam Levitt's podcast, Inside San Diego Baseball. Sam will cover everything going on with the Padres. Find it at 97.3thefansd.com. the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcasts. So again, we are on YouTube. Search 97.3 The Fan, Facebook 97.3 The Fan, and then we have Twitch 97.3 The Fan, and then X 97.3 The Fan SD. So let's go do our roll call, which has become a thing, and I appreciate it. We got Diesel first in the chat today. We got Ira, we have Dave, we have Castro, we have Maria. Yes, Maria says, "What's up, my fellow Skrabinators?" Elisa says, "Skrabinators, mount up." Cactus Man, happy pre-Friday. Friar Phil in the chat. Brandon in the chat. Welsh Friar in the chat. Anthony in the chat with something I can't read. Patrick and Annie in the chat. Jacob in the chat. Man. Abraham in the chat. Oh, this is a lot of people tonight, so I'm really having a good time with this. Chance as well is in the chat. Abraham, it's not on LinkedIn. He's making a joke out of it. Ryan's on the chat too. I will tell you how to sign up here and whenever I do give away those tickets, but I hope you enjoyed the roundtable. I just played about 12 levels of the game I'm playing on my phone, and it's called Homescapes. It's not necessarily the best game in the world or like the most entertaining game, but the puzzles are what I go for. So I hope I was listening to the roundtable while playing that game, and I hope all of you enjoyed it as well. And it was nice to see everybody in studio together. It's sometimes hard to get everybody in studio together, but absolutely, it's nice to have everybody in studio. Nice to have everybody sound clean. Nice to have everybody on camera. So like you heard, everybody, they are going to be doing the roundtables Thursdays throughout the season. Some days it might be a little bit different, but for the most part, Thursdays are going to be it. All right. I said all that. I said we have a pair of tickets to give away. I said Sam Levitt's podcast. I guess at this point, oh, you know what I did want to bring up? I just remembered. So as well as playing my game on my phone, I'm watching the Royals and the White Sox on TV because that's the game that MLB Network is currently airing. And I may have seen the White Sox are bad, but the White Sox maybe had one of the worst sends of a guy from third to home I've ever seen. Hunter Renfroe caught the ball. Yes, that Hunter Renfroe for the Royals in right field, shallow right field. It was one of those where the second baseman was going back and Hunter Renfroe called him off because, the right fielder gets the right of way, I guess. And so he catches it. He's in shallow right field. He has a decent arm, but the White Sox sent the runner anyway, and the runner was caught at home plate. And the player that was kind of watching all of this go down at home plate just put their head down like, oh, man, we are the White Sox, and this is what happens with us. But if you if you're a baseball fan, go see this send that they made the decision to do. The White Sox, not good. Very not good. Chris said worser earlier. I just said very not good here. And with that, we will go into the most studious segment of the show.
It's time to get caught up on the latest with the news of the day.
Diesel, can I get a birthday shout out live on the air? Yes, happy birthday, Diesel. Thank you very much for listening, but I'm wishing you a happy birthday. That's good stuff. What is it, April 4th? I don't know anybody else on April 4th, but it was, I guess my birthday is going to be in a month and a half or something. I don't know. I'm not much of a birthday guy, but shout out to you, Diesel. Happy birthday, man. No, Lisa asked, how many are you today? I didn't want to ask it. I did not want to ask it. Anyway, here we go. Into the news of the day. A little all over the place right now, but I will focus in. And we are going to start with the Joe Musgrove quote about Robert Suarez earlier today. And you may say, about Robert Suarez? What are you talking about? It was about Josh Hader. Well, you can take it that way, too. You can. But he was talking about Robert Suarez, and Annie Heilbrunn, as you just heard her on the roundtable from Annie and Nelson 10 to 2 here on the station. She tweeted out, quote, having a closer that you can go out there and rely on for more than just 3 outs is huge to us here. He's always willing to take the ball, and we're grateful for it, end quote. Now, when I saw this morning, first I had to go check to see if this was fake, because Joe Musgrove is not a guy who's going to say things for reaction. He's not a guy who's going to say things to get the headlines going. Joe Musgrove is going to say things because he means them. And he's a really smart guy. He's not someone who's he's not me. He's not just going to have something fly out of his mouth and then realize that was probably the wrong thing to say. Joe Musgrove understands all of this. He understands how the media works. He understands how, teammates work. He understands all of that. And so when he says this, I mean, it's a pretty clear indication to me that there was maybe not ill will in the clubhouse last year, but there were definitely some feelings being had in the clubhouse, because we've talked about it so many times. I don't even want to go into Josh Hader and his decision to, only go 3 outs instead of 4 or 5 outs. But when you have Joe Musgrove saying this, when you have the leader of the team saying this, it means that it was there last year. And this is how some of the team felt, or at least this is how Joe Musgrove felt. And I can't imagine the rest of the team not feeling this way. And I'm not saying this either to have to basically say Josh Hader's a bad teammate, because again, he made a business decision, and I'm not going to fault him for that, because in the end, he did get what he needed for himself and his family. But when you're on a team, you want guys on a team that are going to do whatever it takes to get that win, or do whatever it takes to do, to come to the common goal. Like here in the radio station, I don't just do my job. Sometimes I have to do other jobs, and I step up. Same with everyone else around here. And so I think that this was definitely a thing last year, and so it lets you into a little bit of the clubhouse. I mean, I don't really know what conversation was had between players, or if players tried to get him to change his mind or anything like that. But, Joe Musgrove did this for a reason, and this is a good thing for me to see, because it means that this team seems a little bit closer than last year's team, and I can just already feel it. And again, I'm not even going to go after Juan Soto, because Juan Soto was a huge part of that. You just heard them talking a lot about Juan Soto during the roundtable. I mean, I do have a Juan Soto story today, but it has to do with Peter Seidler, so I wanted to bring it up. But Josh Hader not being able to go 5 outs, go 4 outs, whatever last year, seemed like it was a big deal to the team. So with him not on the team, and again, it's not all his fault. It was, I believe it was a collective effort of everyone. But I think that having a guy like Robert Suarez, having that understanding amongst teammates that the unspoken rules of being a teammate is you do what you can to get the win, and you do it for your team. And so I think that's where those rules were broken, is the unspoken rule. And it's way different in professional baseball too. Way different, because they're making big money. And I've never had to deal with that, or will ever have to deal with that. But I understand why things happen a little bit different at the professional level. If this was like college, something like that, AAA, it would be a big deal. It would be a huge deal. All right, the second news story is something that we talked about at the start of the show, but this morning the A's are no longer going to be in Oakland after this season. They're going to be playing their home games from 2025 to 2027 at Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. They announced that today. It includes an option for a fourth season, so it could be 2028 that they still play there. But that's if the stadium's ready to go. That's if the financing is ready to go. That's all of that. And so I don't really have any faith that this is going to come together for 2028, maybe 29 or 2030. But this is such a bad look for baseball. And I'm going to play you something in just a second from John I forgot it. John Fisher. Duh. I'm going to play you something for him in just a second, because this was him talking about the future of the A's in this ballpark, which, by the way, it's a AAA ballpark. So it's not a ballpark. It's a minor league ballpark. It's not a professional ballpark, which, is fine and everything. He does say it's the most intimate stadium in baseball, which is probably true. And it's going to look a lot better on TV when people are actually in the seats rather than the 40,000 seats at the Oakland Coliseum that have no one in them. But here's what John Fisher said that basically has A's fans and all of baseball scratching their head. So here's John Fisher today.
We're excited to be here for the next 3 years, playing in this beautiful ballpark, but also being able to watch some of the greatest players in baseball, whether they be athletics players or Aaron Judge and others, launch home runs out of this the most intimate ballpark in all of Major League Baseball for the next 3 years. We're excited to be here for the next 3 years, playing in this beautiful.
Yes. So sorry, I was reading some of the chat and realizing that a lot of people in the chat are a lot younger than me. But he said he wants to see players like Aaron Judge hitting mammoth home runs against the A's in the ballpark. I can't imagine any owner ever saying ever, I want the other team to smash home runs in my ballpark, which means your team's going to lose. And he seems so concerned about making money that I don't really know that he's even focusing on anything that has to do with on the field baseball stuff. Let's not even talk about the conspiracy theory of Asturi Ruiz and Brent Rooker and if they were benched or set down because they were wearing a wristband that was associated with a fan group in Oakland that doesn't want the A's to leave. But this is a joke, and this is making baseball look stupid. And I don't see any way around it. This is making baseball look stupid because you have a guy that is just kind of running his franchise on a day-to-day basis. And I cannot believe the other owners are continuing to watch this happen. And I know there's not much the other owners can do. I'm not sure if they can do a vote or anything like that. But this guy is doing everything he possibly can to get out of Oakland, which is fine. No, it's actually not fine. I take that back. It's not fine. Oakland needs the A's. Oakland seems to have tried. We know what these owners do. They do not try. And I'm not talking about every owner, because I know that the Padres are in a good spot right now, and they were with Peter Seidler. But it's just kind of, we know that owners, all they care about is the bottom line. And so that's what he cares about. He doesn't even care if his team wins. He just wants that new stadium in Vegas. He wants us to pay for it, or Las Vegans. And that's not cool. Not into that. John Fisher, I just really hope something else happens. And not to mention that there are a lot of people out of jobs now in Oakland because of this, because there were a lot of food workers, there were ushers, ticket people, just anybody who works in that stadium is now without a job. And I understand that's part of doing business, but at the same time, it seems like John Fisher is leaving a lot of people in the rearview mirror, and it's not something that I'm a fan of whatsoever. Man, I went a little bit longer than I thought on that one, but I do feel strong about this and the A's going to Vegas, A's going to Sacramento. Do feel very strong about this because I have lots of friends that are very upset about this, and I think people really know what it's like to lose a team, obviously, here in San Diego. Now, a third story I'll get in quickly, and it's about Juan Soto, but came out around 5 p.m. from John Heyman in the New York Post. But apparently, the Scott Boras talked to John Heyman, and apparently Peter Seidler and the Padres tried to extend Juan Soto while Peter Seidler was still alive. And that's surprising to me. Here's what Boris told the Post. The owner loved Juan Soto. He was 6th in MVP, a Silver Slugger, an All-Star. Peter called about wanting to pursue him, and there were discussions about wanting to keep him. And unfortunately, it did not work out because of his health. Now, I hate that Scott Boras has to be like, he was 6th in MVP, a Silver Slugger, an All-Star. I know he's selling his player, but this does surprise me because of all the money, not money issues, but all the different things that we talked about last year with the payroll being way too high and not enough outside or not enough bench players, not enough role players. But if they were willing to spend, I mean, he's asking for Shohei Ohtani money, which is 10 years, $700 million, and he wants no deferrals. And that's fine. You can make all that money. But I cannot believe that the Padres would have extended him. I cannot believe they would have extended him for that much. And I'm not going to say that they would be worse off with him or if they're better off without him. Just, I'm not someone who's willing to pay that much money for a player in a sport that is so team oriented that, yes, the player is good enough to win some games for you. But on a day-to-day basis, this is a team effort. This is a team game. And to pay someone $700 million to be one person, I feel like that money could be going elsewhere and spread out evenly and invested in players that maybe aren't as good as Juan Soto, but they can perform and they'll get the Padres to the places they want to go. So interesting article from John Heyman if you want to read it. There's lots of other different, little things in there that were interesting, but we've already talked about Juan Soto. We talked about Juan Soto on the roundtable, all of that stuff. So we will hopefully leave Juan Soto here in this first segment and not bring him to the rest of the show. But I will say this. Dominic says, should have accepted the bag from Washington when he had the chance. I agree with you, Dominic. I agree. You can't say that and he also said, now here I go. Here I go getting all upset. He also said that he wanted to stay with Washington. Well, that's great. They offered you a ton of money. Why didn't you stay? I don't know. I mean, you got what you want. You got that $500 million contract. It's just weird. This is not that stuff I see right through. It's fluff, it's filler, and I see right through it. He did not want to stay with the Nationals. Come on. If someone wants to stay with the Nationals and someone's offering you $500 million, it's a pretty easy decision in my mind. I'm not the one making that money, but it tells me a lot right there. Tells me a lot. All right. We still got Scrabinator tickets to give out, so stick around for that. We have the first hitter power rankings of 2024, according to MLB.com, and there is a reason I'm bringing that up. There's also some drama with Shohei Ohtani's first home run with the team that happened yesterday. So I'll talk about that. I promised you yesterday I was going to tell you a story of me seeing into the future, and I didn't because I got so hung up on the Skrabinator stuff that I forgot to tell you. So I'm going to tell you tonight. And then we have the daily gripe at the end of the day, which has to do with dating apps. That's what I'll say about that. I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show. We'll be back shortly here on 97.3 The Fan. Back here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for joining me here on the station. I almost said 97.3 The Fan SD, but that is the website and the Twitter handle. We were just doing the news of the day. We'll get into the rest of it here in just a second, but I have to say that I experienced something that all of you experienced and have experienced from time to time here when you're watching 97.3 The Fan on YouTube. And the experience that I finally got to have firsthand, which I've been hearing a lot about, is the rejoin from the commercial break back into the show on YouTube. Now, I will just explain a little bit. There's certain things that we have to press to make sure all the stuff is going out correctly. Certain things that we have to press to make sure we're getting credit for our ratings and all that stuff. So I have to hit a button that is going to make everything live. And so sometimes I hit that button and it's just the music bed that's playing, and it's very loud and it's very jarring and it's very scary. And I was watching this last night, and yes, I jumped out of my skin. I jumped out of my skin watching the show last night. I'm not watching myself. I was just, looking at what I look like while I talk into the air. But it made me jump. So I'm going to do my best to make sure there's no more jump scares for everyone out there who's watching on YouTube, because it is scary. I will say, I did not expect for me to be so scared, but I was very scared. And the reason that we can't play music in the breaks, because YouTube doesn't like music. YouTube doesn't want us to play filler music. So that's why there's nothing in the breaks. We don't want to mess with YouTube. We want to keep our relationship with YouTube the way it has been and will be going forward. All right. So, first hitter power rankings of 2024 came out today from MLB.com. And I looked through, of course, I'm going to click. I got to click because I'm a sucker for these articles, but I knew who was going to be at the top. And I don't disagree with who's at the top right now. Mookie Betts has been amazing so far this season. He's leading the majors with 5 homers, 15 hits. This is all coming into today. 11 RBIs. He's got a 1.167 OPS. He's leading the National League with a 500 batting average. He's just doing great things right now. That'll slow down, hopefully. I'm hoping. Number 2, Juan Soto. Ugh, enough said. No, I shouldn't have made that sound because I said I wasn't going to make that sound. Number 3, Bobby Witt Jr. is hitting 400 coming in today, 950 slugging percentage, 1.428 OPS. Number 4, Freddie Freeman. Number 5, Ronald Acuna Jr. And here is why I am bringing this all to you. Fernando Tatis Jr. comes in at number 6. And the first sentence of the little blurb that they put under his name is, it looks so good to me. Tatis is looking like an MVP contender again. And I picked him to be the MVP. I mean, he played so well last year after not playing baseball for so long. And then he played well in spring ball. And then he played well in winter ball. And then he played well in spring training. But right now, if you don't know, Fernando is one of the better hitters on the team. There was an at bat the other night that he had. I think it was on Tuesday night. It was on Tuesday night. And he took a strike that wasn't a strike, and the umpire helped the pitcher out there. So it was 0-1. I think it was later in the game, but it was 0-1. And then he swung at a bad pitch that was way low. So you can clearly tell the umpire got in his head a little bit maybe. And he swung at this pitch that was actually a ball. And I was thinking, it was 0-2. I'm thinking, really? Here we go. Just a 1-2-3 strike him out or something like that. But no, Fernando battled, and he ended up getting a hit. And it was something that I didn't expect, not because Fernando can't get hits, it's just because that's not what's been happening for the Padres in the last year. Usually they go down 0-2, it's an easy strikeout. But Fernando is locked in. He's hitting, coming into today, 323. He's got 3 home runs, a stolen base, and he's got a 1.009 OPS through 8 games for the Padres, or through 8 games. So that may have come down a little bit yesterday, but either way, Fernando Tatis Jr. is starting the season exactly how we wanted him to start the season. He's on fire, and it's nice to see. It really is. I wasn't sure how Fernando was going to come back after the suspension, after the injuries. But it seems like whatever happened in that time where he was suspended and he wasn't allowed to do anything with the team, it feels like a big shift happened with him. And he seems more like a leader. He seems more like a professional baseball player. And he seems more like a guy that you can count on every single night. And not that you couldn't before, because you definitely could count on him every single night. But I think people may understand what I'm saying. Is like when Tatis, he carries a different weight. It's like a different importance to me. And maybe I'm just making this up, but these are the things that I'm seeing from him. And with the start that he's having, it's got to make everybody feel good. And I know everybody feels good about it. Where's my Tatis? We're aiming for the big cake. I got to go find that real quick because he's aiming for the big cake, everybody. Did someone remove my big cake? This is crazy. Oh, here it is. I found it.
We're aiming for the big cake, man.
They got to get to the big cake, and him playing the way he does is going to get to the big cake. I promise you that. Promise you that. All right. That's it for the hitter power rankings of 2024. Hopefully more Padres show up on the list as we go along. But we're going to talk about the Dodgers right here. And the reason we're going to talk about the Dodgers is because there's something that I think is very strange, and it just continues to happen. And I guess it's for some people, it's an interesting thing, but the souvenir home run ball where everybody dives into the stands and tries to fight each other for it. If you don't realize, I'm not a big fan of fighting. I think fighting's stupid. I think it's just a waste of time. But these people, when Ohtani hit his first home run as a Dodger, it wasn't the craziest scrum I've ever seen, but it definitely was a scrum. And the person who caught this ball, they were immediately removed from the stands so that they can, which is the safety thing. But it was also for the Dodgers to try to negotiate a little bit to try to get this ball back for Shohei Ohtani and for the Dodgers because it's his first as a Dodger. Well, legally, the ball belongs to the fan. The fan does not have to give back the ball. So if she were to say, the woman who caught the ball, if she were to say, no, I don't want anything for it, I'm going to keep this, then she could, that's her legal right to do. But I guess what happened, and her husband is not happy. I can't tell if her husband's not happy because she didn't get much in return, or if he's not happy because they were so mean to her. But the family spoke to The Athletic, and her husband, Alexis Valenzuela was the woman who caught it, but they really took advantage of her. There were a bunch of security guys around her. They wouldn't let me talk to her or give her any advice. There was no way for us to leave. They had her pretty much cornered in the back. The Dodgers allegedly threatened to refuse to authenticate the ball if she decided to take it home, which would have made the ball worthless. And if you're wondering how much that ball is worth, the first home run for Shohei Ohtani in a Dodgers uniform, well, an appraiser for a sports auction house said the ball was worth at least $100,000. So she could have taken that home. They could have auctioned it off and made some money off of it. But the Dodgers doing something dirty and saying that they're not going to authenticate the ball, which I would believe that if you have video of you catching the ball, I think that would authenticate it, but I'm not sure. But I guess she ultimately exchanged this ball for 2 signed hats, a signed ball, and a signed bat, which is nothing, which is absolutely nothing for this, for $100,000 baseball. I'm not mad that she didn't get, I'm not mad that the Dodgers wanted the ball. What I'm mad about is that the Dodgers tried to strong arm her into giving them the ball for next to nothing. And she got a couple hats. She got a couple signed baseball, a signed bat. That's not worth it to me. I would take that thing home. I would take that thing home for sure. Wolfpack says, good for her for not being greedy. I kind of understand her not being greedy, but in this case, that ball is like a lottery ticket. It's $100,000 in your hand. Now, again, I don't know about the authentication stuff, but it's really, really unfortunate that it went down this way. Anthony says, I helped my buddy grab Tatis's first home run ball ever. Wow, that's pretty cool. They tried to short us on stuff too. Suits come out of nowhere and split us up. Tatis said he was giving the ball to his dad, which is fine, and I understand why he would do that. But I don't like that this is becoming a theme now. In 3 separate incidents, this is not me reading, this is me saying. In 3 separate incidents I've read about, it seems like the move is to separate the party. And so when you separate 2 people, they can't talk to each other, they can't come up with a plan, and so one person might get overwhelmed and give up the ball for nothing. But Anthony even said the Suits came and tried to get it for him. Oh, it's just greed. Greed. And I guess she isn't greedy, but I don't know that I think it feels to me, I'm not going to make accusations, but it feels to me that they kind of shortchanged her and they wanted to do it on purpose. I mean, this is a team that's spent over $1 billion in the offseason, and they can't give this woman free tickets or a sweet ticket or something like that. I don't know. I don't get it, and I hate it. So there. I hate it. So there. That's how I end that. All right. Man, the Skraby Show always goes so fast. When we get back, I'm going to tell you that story about the how I saw the future. I'm going to talk about Rashee Rice. I'm going to get to the Daily Gripe. But also, right now is your chance to win Skrabinator night tickets. I have the phones on lock right now, so anyone who calls in is not going to get through. But I have your chance to win Skrabinator night tickets. So it's Wednesday, April 10th, next Wednesday. Game starts at 3:40. If you win these tickets, you will be able to, you have 2 tickets, and you'll be able to watch from the Odyssey Suite, the 97.3 The Fan SD Suite in Petco Park. And since I want listeners who have been here since day one to get to enjoy the suite, I'm going to ask a question about the show. And if you know the answer, 833-288-0973. First person with the answer is going to get these 2 tickets to hang out with me and all the other Skrabinators on Wednesday, next Wednesday. And a Skrabinator, I was asked this earlier on Annie and Elston, but a Skrabinator is not me. I am not a Skrabinator. I guess I am a Skrabinator, but the Skrabinators are all of you. It's just easy for me to call you Skrabinators. So Skrabinator night tickets on the way. Here is the question. What was the first real conspiracy I talked about on the Skraby Show? I made a big deal about this. Huge deal about this. What was the first real conspiracy I talked about on the Skraby Show? If you know the answer, first person with the right answer to call into 833-288-0973. Get these tickets to hang out with us in the suite. When we get back, more Skraby Show and me seeing the future. Sorry to everybody just scared with the music coming back on, but I have been busy answering the phones because I think I made this too hard. I was really pumped on this question, but it's me and I remember what I do. But the question was, what was the first ever conspiracy theory I really talked about on this show, on the Skraby Show? And we did finally get an answer. And guess what? That person has been listening to the Skraby Show for a very long time and listening to the station for a very long time. Diesel, if you're on the chat, you know who Diesel is. Diesel got the right answer. And you know what? The first conspiracy I really talked about on this show was the Roomba and how Amazon wanted to take over our lives and how Amazon wanted to map out our houses because they were buying the Roomba vacuum. And so it was going to be this whole thing where Amazon was going to be a part of every part of our lives. But guess what? That conspiracy is dead because Amazon had to back out of buying the Roomba because they said it was a monopoly. It was a monopoly. Michael says it was ringing the whole time. I went through everything. I did. But I think I made that too hard. But congratulations to Diesel, because I answered at least 10 phone calls there. And not many people knew about it. But Diesel, going to the game, I will have 2 more tickets, a pair of tickets to give away tomorrow night on the Skraby Show. There will be a Skraby Show. There will be no Gwen and Chris due to the game starting at 1:35. So another chance tomorrow night to win tickets to Skrabinator night in the Odyssey Suite. Thanks to everyone who's been so awesome about this. It really is. And let's see. Diesel said he was on the phone for like 15 minutes. It's still ringing. Yes, I can't answer it right now. But yeah, there we go. All right. So I'm going to tell you about how I saw the future before I get into Rashid Rice real quick. And wow, I just looked up at the screen. The Royals all of a sudden are up 10-1. They were just up 2-1. I have no idea what happened, so we'll maybe figure that out here in just a second. But if you know anything about me, there's like 4 places I go: work, home, dog park, and then convenience stores. I'm always in convenience stores or grocery stores. Those are the same thing: convenience store, grocery store. But I was in line trying to get my stinking receipt for the gas, but I'm not going to go off on that because what's the point of accepting that you want a receipt and you say yes if you're not going to actually print the receipt? But hey, so I go inside. Yes, I need the receipt because I track my mileage, and I do that because I'm a dork. Anyway, not part of the story. I walk in and there's this old guy. He's got to be like, I don't know, 95 years old, something like that. And this is not going where you think it's going. Trust me. But I walk in, I get behind him in line, and he's just kind of talking to the guy behind the register. The guy behind the register doesn't even care. But this dude is fired up, this old guy. And he's from the East Coast because he's got an accent. He said, "My daughter." And what he was yelling about is something I yelled about earlier today, and maybe I've yelled about every single day I've had the Skraby Show. But he goes on to turn around and tell me that he is very angry with the millionaires and billionaires in this world because his daughter was laid off while she was pregnant, and they didn't give her much of anything. They gave her support because she's pregnant and she had health insurance and all that. But he's telling me all this in this grocery store and the convenience store. And the more he's telling me, the more I am realizing I am looking at me in the future. Really, I honestly thought this was me 50 years from now, complaining to some other kid about how the billionaires are taking over the world and that the billionaires need to give back to the people. And that's what's wrong with this country. The billionaires just do everything to push down the people. And I feel bad for him a little bit because his daughter was pregnant and she got laid off. But he was all right. He was spot on in every one of his opinions. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate people have to go through this stuff. You put your life and soul into a job, I don't know what she did. I don't even know if he's telling the truth, but he seemed pretty passionate about it. And it just stinks that sometimes you can put your life and soul into something and then they can fire you and pretend like you never worked there anymore. That's how it goes, I guess. Not what I would like to do. Not what I would like to do. Let's see. What's my favorite grocery store? Well, there's a Vaughn's right down the street that I usually stop at. Although the parking lot is really weird, so I don't like going there because it's like a one-way in and then you have to go around a bunch of people, and then you also have to like go and you have to go through like the other door because they have people standing in front of the main door. But I guess Vaughn's is the one I go to. Just spent $32 at 7-Eleven on popsicles, Ira. Where's the popsicle party? Is that Vaughn's Pacific Beach? No, Welsh. The Vaughn's is just a chain of stores all over the county. Safeway up in Northern California. We also had a Rayleigh's when I was growing up in Northern California. But that's besides the point. Just talking about grocery stores all the time now. The chat earlier, I was looking through it. SD says, can you stay on later? I cannot. I'm sorry. But there was a chat I wanted to get to about it, and I just don't see it. Oh, a lot of the conspiracy theories were about Taylor Swift and the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, which honestly is a really good one. Really, really, really good one. Vaughn's in Hillcrest is pretty good. Have I been there? I think I have been there, actually. Yes, I have been there. It is really nice. Welsh Fryer says he's only ever been to the Vaughn's in PB. That's okay, Welsh Fryer. You're from across the pond. Ralph's in Carlsbad is good. I haven't been to that one. I actually saw there's a Twitter user. I hope he doesn't mind me blasting it right now, but a random ham who's been a good listener to the show. He actually, I guess, saw me when I was about town, and he said, just like you, I'm very awkward, so I didn't say hi. And I always say, if you see me, please let me know. I'm going to be awkward. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable because I am just awkward. But say hi. I want to say hi to everyone. I really do. I like to meet people, and I like to learn what people are listening to out there. All right. Before we get into the daily gripe, man, do I even have time? Yes, Rashee Rice. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. He plays for the Chiefs. He is now known that he was driving the Lamborghini that crashed on that Saturday, and he got out of the car and he left the scene of an accident. So he's dealing with police and he's taking responsibility for it. But Chris and I stumbled on something. How do we cheer for players who do dumb things? And Chris was saying it's kind of similar to Tyreek Hill in a way, because he's a Dolphins fan, and Tyreek Hill has some off the field stuff that's not necessarily the best stuff ever. And I don't know if there is a way to separate the two. I would like to think that there is a way to separate the two. But if I'm going to sit here and say he shouldn't do this, he shouldn't race his car, he shouldn't, then I have to follow suit and not be a fan when he's playing the game either. Now, Rashee Rice, no one died, which is great. It was very dumb. And it seems like he's in a place where he wants to make this right. Can he ever make it right fully? Probably not. But if he does things that are good-natured and he really does want to rectify things, I feel like that tells me something about him as a person, that he's a good person. He has empathy. He wants to show people that he's not just a guy who drives his car really fast. And so I'm willing to give Rashee Rice a little bit more time because I want to see what happens with this. But if he does this whole thing where he's just doesn't really care, then I'm not going to be a fan of his. I mean, it's the same of P. Diddy. I don't even know if people call him P. Diddy anymore. R. Kelly, any of those celebrities, Michael Jackson. Is it okay to like their music? I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a really, really weird thing. All right. Got that out. Now, Daily Gripe.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Yes, Dominic, it is like listening to music made by people who are creeps. I mean, I really do think it's a case-by-case basis all the time. Like what R. Kelly has done and was found to have done, not good. Did I love his music in high school before I knew any of this stuff? Yes. Have I listened to an R. Kelly song in a while? No, I have not listened to R. Kelly in a while. And I probably won't listen to R. Kelly because it's weird to know the bad stuff that he was doing. All right, so here is the Daily Gripe for the day, and it's Hinge related. It's dating app related. But I saw this, and a New York City woman has made it a habit to start, how do I put this? Matching with guys to do stuff for her at her apartment and get your minds out of the gutter. Meaning, put together an IKEA table, or fix the fire alarm, or fix the clogged toilet, or blah, 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 blah. This is what I have the problem with, is that's a dating app, lady. If you want someone to be your handyman, go find a handyman. And I don't really use the dating apps anymore. They're stupid anyway. I don't really care. But what I have found is that those dating apps are either fake people or people who are just looking for free dinners or something like that. But that's where we're at. And this is my gripe. Don't invite me over and make me think we're going on a first date and then tell me, oh, why don't you put together my IKEA table before we go to dinner? And then you put together the IKEA table and nothing happens. And nothing happens as in you don't go to dinner. Something comes up and she has to do something else. It's just ridiculous. And that's my gripe. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks to all the Skrabinators. And we will be giving away 2 more tickets tomorrow night on the show. So Padres baseball, 1:35. No Gwen and Chris tomorrow, but we will have Skraby Show. Talk to you all then. Have a great night, everybody.